Welcome back to Fantasy Fights. This time Oleksandr Usyk goes up against Larry Holmes. Should be a great matchup. Let's take a look first at Oleksandr Usyk from Ukraine, 20-0. The only major belt that he doesn't own is the WBC. In 2012, he won an Olympic gold medal. And he's 6'3", 221 with a 78-inch reach. Now, looking at his body of work, it's pretty limited at the heavyweight division. He was the undisputed cruiserweight champion before he moved up into the heavyweights. He took on Witherspoon and Chisora, but his claim to fame was his 2 fights against Anthony Joshua, in which he won 2 close decisions. Now let's take a look at the Easton assassin Larry Holmes, 69-6-0, 44 knockouts. He was generally recognized as the heavyweight champion from 1978 to 1985, which was a 7-year reign. Stood 6'3", 210, 81-inch reach. And here's some of the more prominent fighters that he took on during his prime years. Big fight in 1982 was against Jerry Cooney. Probably his biggest victory was a 1978 win over Ken Norton. And of course, he lost 2 fights to Michael Spinks.
This Olympic gold medal champion now has a perfect record as a professional. 19 fights, 19 victories, 13 wins by knockout, fighting for and representing the sovereign nation of Ukraine, undefeated, unified, heavyweight champion of the world, Oleksandr Usyk.
Okay, guys.
Introducing, in the red corner, fighting from Easton, Pennsylvania, weighing 212 1/2 pounds, the undefeated WBC heavyweight champion of the world, the Easton assassin, Larry Holmes.
Now let's take a look at Usyk in competition. This is against Joe Joyce. They both came out of the Olympics. I believe this was in 2013. Here he is against Tony Bellew in the cruiserweight division. This was a unification fight, and this was his last fight in the cruiserweight division. Bellew was actually ahead on points in this fight. This was a great test for Usyk. Not a knockout puncher, but notice the hand speed, incredible foot speed, just the ultimate boxer. Took very few chances, and he goes in for the knockout. This is one of his biggest wins of his career. Although he was a cruiserweight, this guy was tough. Bellew was a tough fighter. Good win for Usyk. Now he moves up to the heavyweight division. This is Chaz Witherspoon, his first test. Witherspoon's not a household name or anything. I don't think they wanted to give him a big test, but nonetheless, he starts putting on weight. If you'll notice, he doesn't look a great deal different. He still has the hand speed, the foot speed, the lightning hands. Looks pretty much the same. He's just putting on weight, much like Evander Holyfield did as he moved up into the heavyweight division. He put the weight on gradually. And this fight is going to be stopped after this round. Witherspoon really can't handle any more. He's just been pummeled. And he doesn't look like he's in great condition either. The next fight is Derek Chisora. Usyk really moved up in class here. Chisora is one of the great trial horses of the modern era. He's fought just about every fighter. You name him, he's fought him. And this was a real test for him. He won the decision. Here he is in the second fight against Anthony Joshua. And Joshua's a big, powerful, strong fighter, 6'5", 240. Usyk's speed is just way too much for him. Notice the unorthodox style. He's a southpaw, comes at you from different angles, never comes straight in. He's constantly got head movement. Just a really tough fighter to stop. Now let's take a look at Larry Holmes at his prime, his peak. This was his 1982 fight against Jerry Cooney. Jerry Cooney came in undefeated, #1 contender. This is a big high-dollar fight. I believe it was out in Las Vegas. Cooney was no pushover, and Holmes showed his moxie as he did not dominate the fight. The fight was pretty close, but he ends up winning by a 13th round knockout. But notice the jab and the right-left combination. He's just a really balanced boxer. I mean, he's got just about everything you would want in a fighter. And that's why he was considered one of the best of all time. Here he is against Mike Weaver. Now, I want you to watch this. Weaver's got him in a corner. He's hurt him. This is so typical of Larry Holmes. Watch this. Uppercut. On the verge of being knocked out or floored, and he comes back, one punch, turns the fight, and Weaver just barely staggers to his corner. Watch this uppercut. And I think this is a quality that very few fighters ever had. Larry Holmes had it. Now this is in the 12th round here, I believe. Notice the jab. He's a tremendous offensive fighter. Defensively, I've got questions about him, but offensively, he's one of the best ever. And Weaver is hurt. And Holmes goes on and wins with a technical knockout. This is Tim Witherspoon. I believe this was 1983. Witherspoon had 16 fights. He was undefeated, fairly young, and took Holmes to the limit. 12 rounds. You can see he's not backing up. I think the thought that Holmes dominated all of his opponents is just crazy. He had a lot of close fights, and this is another one. Holmes won by split decision. And here's another fight that went 12 rounds. Another fighter who was undefeated at the time, Carl the Truth Williams. And he's given Holmes just about everything he could handle here. As I said, Holmes was a really strong offensive fighter. Defensively, he struggled at times. And Carl the Truth is not a top flight heavyweight. He's pretty good, but he struggled with him. This is Michael Spinks. He fought Larry Holmes for 30 rounds, won 2 15-round decisions. Second one was a split decision. But the reason I'm showing you this is out of all the opponents that Holmes faced, he's the most like Usyk. Usyk is going to move in and out. He's unorthodox. So is Spinks. Spinks is off balance, throws punches from all angles, and Holmes had a real hard time with him. This would be real similar to a fight between Larry Holmes and Oleksandr Usyk. Now let's take a look at the comparison chart between Usyk and Holmes. Hand speed, I've got to go with Usyk in that area. Boxing ability, Usyk. KO power, Larry Holmes. Chin, both of them had really good chins, but Holmes was one of the best I've ever seen. Size, no advantage. Defense, Usyk's a better defensive fighter. Endurance, both of them were well conditioned. Adaptability, Usyk is superior in that area. Foot speed, Usyk has faster feet. Strength, really no advantage. Jab, Holmes has one of the best jabs in boxing history. Cuts, no advantage. Reach, Holmes has a 3-inch reach advantage over Usyk, and body attack, no advantage. Usyk has a very small 5-4-6 advantage, which is not decisive. Before I render my decision in the Usyk-Holmes fight, please hit the like button and subscribe, and I'd love to hear who you think would win this fight. These fighters fought about 40 years apart. Holmes had one of the best chins and one of the best jabs in boxing history. I think that's the thing that you really need to take to the bank when you're looking at Larry Holmes. Defensively, he could be hit. Usyk, on the other hand, was very defensive-minded, very fast, fleet of foot. I think the fight would look a great deal like the Michael Spinks fight in Larry Holmes, except for Usyk's a little bit faster, a little bit quicker than Spinks, and a little bit bigger than Michael Spinks. I think it'd be a very close fight because Holmes would stay in the fight with his left hand. I don't see either fighter going down. I think Holmes would have a hard time finding his range against Usyk. I think he would frustrate him. I see a very close decision. Holmes is not going to lose a lot of rounds because of his jab. I'm just telling you. That's what always brought him home in these close wins that he did have, was his jab and his ability to take punishment. I'm looking at a 12-round decision, and I'm looking at a very, very close decision, 6-5-1, something like that. But I'm looking for Usyk to win a split decision. Thanks for watching.